It's impossible to make a great film without the perfect visual aesthetic. It sets the location, tone, period, and passage of time. This is known as production design, and is done by the, wait for it, production designer, who works closely with the director, cinematographer, and producer to create mood boards, sketches, models, whatever is needed to set the stage for the film. The production designer is often the unsung hero. Much like their task on set, they become merely background. On this channel, we will shine the spotlight on this tremendously intricate art form, beginning with the 2020 Oscar winner for Best Picture, Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-ho, with production design by Ha Jun-lee. Known for his specificity and meticulousness, Ho provided Lee with intricate sketches and plans with a very intentional choreography in mind for each character, and how they would interact with and move through spaces. This led to an Oscar nomination for Best Achievement in Production Design. Sadly, it didn't win. This is where the obligatory warnings must come in. The first one is spoilers ahead. The second one is both a warning and an apology. I'm likely going to butcher most, if not all of the pronunciations of names forthcoming. Sorry about that. Parasite is a masterfully layered film about two very different families and two very different socioeconomic classes, one of which decides to literally feed off of the other by means of a very elaborate plan. The dichotomy of the family's circumstances is carefully crafted on screen with use of very deliberate visual design mechanisms. But before we get to these, I want to mention a fun motif that we noticed on subsequent watches. If you've seen the movie, you know that most of the film takes place in two locations: the Kim's dingy and cluttered sub-basement apartment, and the Park's perfectly designed, kept, and spacious contemporary home. If you pay attention to the actions which take place in each, you may or may not have noticed that one takes on the role of a rehearsal space, and the other a literal stage. Can you guess which is which? The Kims are literally devising and rehearsing every move they intend to make to infiltrate the Park family within their apartment. They put on costumes, discuss their plans, create false identities and relationships, and rehearse their lines. Then, one by one, as if introducing the players, they make their ways up to the stage, the Park home. It certainly looks like a stage, doesn't it? Lee even sized the iconic glass wall overlooking the garden to the standard widescreen aspect ratio of 2.39 to 1. The house has plenty of open space for movement, intentionally selected and placed furniture and art pieces to emphasize and highlight the action, and even perfect lighting. It's the ideal setting for the Greek tragedy to which the film is leading. Let's more specifically break down some of the aspects of the film and its locations that bring the story to life, starting with the most obvious, space in its most rudimentary meaning. We've already mentioned the general state of the Kim's sole-typical sub-basement apartment. It's dimly lit, we'll get more into lighting later, and full of, well, stuff. Unlike the Park's sprawling home with tons of open space, a place for everything, and everything in its place, and a clear separation of rooms, the Kim home is small and extremely congested. The kitchen appears to serve also as the dining and living rooms, and in it are racks of clothes, a dining table, TV, sofa, and piles of miscellaneous sundry. You can almost see the smell that the Parks mention permeates when Kai-tak is near. While the family's sleeping arrangements are unclear, and the family is occasionally seen using the other rooms, this space, with the only real view to the outside, is where the family mainly seems to live their life. I say life, not lives, because the family operates as a unit, whereas the Parks, while they do interact with one another in the same spaces at various times, each have their own lives, agendas, duties, and schedules. Their sprawling spaces help to facilitate this. The visual connections that the spaces have with their respective outside worlds are vastly different. There is no question that the Park house has a hell of a view. Every room in the house has a lot of glass and a tremendous amount of natural light pouring in. The widescreen window in the living room looks out over a beautifully manicured and private lawn, which wraps the home with an expansive and an unobstructed view of the sky. Because the home sits above the street, the view is very private and belongs only to the Parks. Their home is very much a secure bubble that protects them from the outside. They aren't even aware that a life is happening in the secret dark hole of a bunker below their feet. But all it takes is a single prick for a bubble to burst. Meanwhile, the Kim apartment has a single, small, almost clear-story window in the main room. We can see as the characters move through and outside of the apartment that there is really only one small window per room, but they are facing a narrow alley and don't appear to be letting in any natural light. From their main room and window, they can only see a sliver of sky, and it's obstructed by a web of wires, posts, thin bars over the window, and general street clutter. It's as if the weight of the world is literally on their shoulders. Constantly bombarded by unpleasantries from the outside, such as a chemical cloud from pest control that makes its way through their open window, a man who we are led to believe frequently urinates in their plain view, and water during a torrential rain that floods their home, it's no wonder they are desperate to escape up the hill to a better life. Hills and slopes aren't the only visual devices used throughout Parasite to show the notion of levels. As Lee said, "I have never made so many stairs in my filmmaking career, and we're pretty sure that in our many combined years of watching films, we haven't seen so many." The stairs are a perfect metaphor throughout the film of the class struggle at play between the Kims and the Parks. There is no consistency in the types of stairs, sizes of stairs, purpose of stairs, and I'm sure that you've noticed who lives above and who lives below. Even the toilet in the Kims' apartment is higher than they are. With a change in levels comes a change in light. Not just access to sunlight, but the overall color of the lighting changes and varies between the residences. Visually, scenes within the Kims' apartment have a very washed yellow-green color tone to them. It almost looks sickly. This is true of both spaces where the occupants are considered of lower socioeconomic status, meaning also in the bunker. Meanwhile, scenes at the Parks' home, with its ample sky view, have a very healthy, true color. The color starts to shift to a more natural tonality during Ki Woo's first descent to the Park home, culminating in a burst of sunlight as he arrives at the front door. During night scenes, the light is very warm in tone, representing the comfort and serenity present in their lives. But there's a more subtle color and light shift, which we didn't even notice the first time through. As the Kims infiltrate the Parks' home and their lives start to improve, the scenes in their backstage lives begin to become more true color and better lit, representing the literal parasitic effects taking place as the story unfolds. That is, until they are reminded of where they come from. It's not up in the idyllic world where the Parks live, but down below in a more hopeless reality. The sickly light that has returned in the bunker gives way to a more ominous red coloration as the Kims have to flee back to their own world, as everything begins to fall apart. It's dark, it's harsh, and it's completely representative of everything that's occurring in the plot. Designed by the fictional Starchitect Namgun Hyunja, everything about the home is meticulously thought out and contrived. The contemporary design of the house, which is actually a series of sound stages, is not specific to any particular architectural style. Lee consulted various architect friends to create a muted yet warm environment in which the story would play out. The design is overall very minimal, with clean lines and smooth textures that give way to one another in a simple dance. As we previously mentioned, there is a ton of glass, and there is use of reflective materials to carry light throughout the spaces. And when it comes to light, aside from the few decorative lamps, pendants, and wall sconces, the artificial light throughout the home is recessed or hidden to keep the ceiling clean and uncluttered. This is unlike the Kim apartment, where there is an abundance of exposed wires and overall obviously shoddy workmanship. But the Park house is built on lies that support their picture-perfect life. Desong is rambunctious, and his sister believes him to be feigning genius in art and inspiration.
침팬지를 그린 거죠?
자화상이에요.
Dahae lives in a fantasy world of love for whomever pays attention to her. Mrs. Park can't properly maintain her household without outside help. When asked if he loves his wife, Mr. Park casually says,
사랑이라고 봐야지.
The very lights the family believes are automatically activated by sensors or physically controlled by a board Gensei in the hidden bunker below their home. Anybody else wonder why the lights selectively didn't turn on part of the way through the movie? The world of Parasite is a visual masterpiece. We could watch it for the first time ever without the subtitles and still have a fundamental understanding of who the characters are, how their lives intertwine, and the Greek tragedy-like consequences which that intermingling has on both families. The choices which we make in life are inevitably linked to our circumstances, but it's the paths that we choose to take which have profound implications on where we end up. We hope you enjoyed our first foray into the realm of production design and film. Give us a like or a comment, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Twitter. And let us know which films you'd like for us to cover in future videos. Thanks for watching!